I, 30F, have been married to my husband Mike, 32M, for 5 years. We met through his sister Angela, 28F, at Peterson & Associates, an accounting firm where Angela and I worked together. I joined the firm right after finishing my accounting degree, and Angela had already been working there for a year. We weren't exactly friends, but we got along well at work. Angela and I usually had lunch together in the break room and sometimes went for coffee after work with other coworkers. I learned about Angela's family gradually during our coffee breaks. Mike and Angela lost their parents in a car accident when Mike was 18 and Angela was 14. Their Aunt Linda, 55F, took them in and raised them in Ohio while they previously lived in Michigan. This meant Mike had to give up his football scholarship to Michigan State. He started working 2 jobs, at a warehouse during the day and as a bartender at night, while taking online classes to complete his business degree. Angela was in high school then, and Mike made sure she never felt the loss of their parents financially. He paid for her college education by working extra shifts, and even helped her get the job at Peterson & Associates through one of his warehouse contacts. I had my own share of family problems. My mom raised me alone after my dad left us when I was 3. She worked as a nurse and did everything she could to give me a good education. She got sick with cancer during my 2nd year of college and passed away 6 months later. I had just gotten out of a 2-year relationship where my ex cheated on me with his coworker. Angela knew about all this because I told her during one of our coffee breaks when she asked why I always stayed late at work. Mike and I met at the firm's Christmas party. Angela had invited him because she wanted him to meet her work friends. Mike wasn't like the usual guys I met. He didn't try to impress anyone, wore a simple blue shirt with black pants, and spent most of the party talking to the older accountants about investment strategies. We started talking when I went to get more punch and found him refilling his sister's cup. Our first date was actually an accident. Angela had invited both of us to dinner but got stuck with a client meeting. Instead of canceling, Mike and I decided to go ahead with dinner. We talked for hours about everything, from our favorite TV shows to our experiences growing up without parents. Mike told me how he still felt guilty about not being able to protect Angela from the trauma of losing their parents. I told him about how I struggled to pay for my mom's medical bills. Angela seemed really happy when Mike and I started dating. She would often join us for dinner or weekend movies. Sometimes she'd cancel last minute so Mike and I could have alone time. Mike told me he was relieved because Angela had never liked any of his previous girlfriends. She had always found something wrong with them. One was too clingy, another was too independent, a third one didn't respect family values. We dated for a year before Mike proposed. The wedding was small because neither of us had much family. Angela helped plan everything from the flowers to the menu. She even handled my bachelorette party and gave a beautiful speech at our wedding about gaining a sister. Aunt Linda flew in from Ohio and told me she was happy Mike had found someone who understood family values. The problem started about a month after our wedding. Angela began showing up at our house unannounced, usually around dinner time when Mike was home. Her excuses ranged from needing help with her tax returns to feeling lonely in her apartment. At first, I thought she was just missing her brother because they had always been close. Mike would drop everything to help her whenever she called, even if we were in the middle of watching a movie or having dinner. Angela also started making comments about how I wasn't keeping the house the way Mike liked it. She would rearrange our kitchen cabinets saying Mike preferred the plates on the bottom shelf. She would reorganize our closet because apparently Mike liked his work shirts arranged by color. She even tried to change our grocery shopping list because she knew which brands Mike had grown up using. I tried talking to Mike about it, but he said Angela was just trying to help. He reminded me that she had basically been his partner in running their household after their parents died. She had helped him with cooking, cleaning, and budgeting when they lived with Aunt Linda. He said it was probably hard for her to let go of those habits. 3 months ago, Mike and I decided to try for a baby. We only told our close friends because we didn't want any pressure. During a family barbecue at our house, I overheard Angela talking to Mike's childhood friend Tom, 33M, near the grill. She was telling him that I was trying to trap Mike with a baby because I was insecure about our marriage. She said I probably thought Mike would leave me like my dad left my mom. I was hurt but decided not to tell Mike because I didn't want to cause problems between them. The situation got worse when Angela found out I was already pregnant. Instead of being happy about becoming an aunt, she started telling everyone that Mike wasn't ready for kids. She told Aunt Linda that I had planned this pregnancy without discussing it with Mike. She even called Mike's workplace and told his boss that he might need extended leave because I had forced him into starting a family. This wasn't true. Mike and I had been planning this for months. He had already set up a nursery room and was researching the best schools in our area. Update 1: Angela lost her job at Peterson & Associates, But the way it happened was even worse than I initially explained. After security removed her that first time, she started a full campaign of harassment at my workplace. She would arrive at 7 a.m. and sit in her car in the parking lot, watching everyone who entered the building. She approached my co-workers when they arrived, telling them she was worried about her brother and needed their help. She cornered Beth from accounts payable in the parking garage and spent an hour telling her about how I had supposedly trapped Mike into marriage. She told Beth that Mike had been planning to propose to his ex-girlfriend before he met me, and that I had manipulated him by talking about my dead mother. Beth reported this to HR, but Angela kept finding ways to contact different employees. Angela started sending emails to the entire office using her old work email address before IT could deactivate it. She wrote long messages about how I was emotionally manipulating her brother and using my position at the company to hide my affairs. The HR department had to hold a meeting to address the situation because people were starting to question my character. My supervisor Mark had to move me to a private office away from the main floor because Angela would press her face against the office windows trying to spot me. She even followed me to client meetings, waiting outside restaurants, and trying to talk to our clients about her concerns for her brother's marriage. We lost 2 major accounts because of this. After Peterson and Associates fired her, Angela started targeting my work relationships in more personal ways. She found out where my coworker Brad lived and left notes on his car warning him that I was going to accuse him of harassment like I had supposedly done at my previous job. She made up complete stories about my work history and sent them to every accounting firm in the area. The recordings she made in our house were more extensive than we first realized. She had been collecting them for over 8 months, starting right after our wedding. She didn't just hide devices, she wore a recording pen whenever she visited. She recorded every family dinner, every casual conversation, and even arguments Mike and I had about normal marriage stuff. Angela spent weeks editing these recordings. She would take bits of different conversations and piece them together. She made it sound like I was planning to get pregnant to access Mike's inheritance from his parents. She created clips where it seemed like I was mocking Angela's grief over losing her parents. She even edited conversations to make it sound like I was admitting to cheating on Mike with multiple coworkers. The fake social media accounts she created weren't just random profiles. She made detailed fake accounts pretending to be my college classmates. She went through my old yearbooks that she found while snooping in our house and used real people's names. She contacted my actual college friends pretending to be other classmates, telling them she had proof I had cheated on my exams and bought my way into the accounting program. When Aunt Linda confronted her about all this, Angela's real issues came to light. She had been dating James, Tom's brother, since before our wedding. James was a partner at his law firm and had promised to leave his wife once he made senior partner. Angela had been planning their future together, even putting a deposit on an apartment near his office. James's wife found their messages on his iPad and confronted him at a family dinner. Instead of leaving his wife like he had promised, James told everyone Angela had been stalking him and threatening to tell his kids about their affair. He got a promotion to the main office in Chicago and moved his family there within a week, leaving Angela with an apartment lease she couldn't afford and a ruined reputation in their social circle. Update 2: After losing both her job and James, Angela's life fell apart completely. She couldn't afford her $2,000 monthly rent for her downtown apartment anymore. She had leased a BMW last year trying to impress James's law firm colleagues, so she had to break the lease and pay a huge penalty. She sold most of her furniture and designer clothes on Facebook Marketplace just to cover her bills. She moved to Oak Meadows Apartments, probably the worst complex in town. The place was known for drug deals and police raids. Her drinking got out of control there. She would start at breakfast with vodka in her orange juice. Her new neighbors complained about her sitting in the building hallway at night, crying and calling Mike's name. Mike changed his phone number 3 times in 1 month. The first time, Angela got his new number from his gym membership account. She pretended to be his wife and convinced the staff to update his contact details. The second time, she befriended the receptionist at his office by bringing her coffee every morning for a week until she shared his number. The third time, she followed his Uber driver home and paid him $100 for Mike's number. She got banned from every bar within walking distance of her new apartment. At Murphy's Pub, she tried to seduce the married bartender by claiming she was a lawyer too, just like James. At the Blue Room, she got into a fistfight with a woman who looked like Tom's wife. The Royal Oak had to call the police when she passed out in their bathroom and refused to leave. Our neighbors started getting concerned about their safety. Angela would park her beat-up Honda, she had to trade in the BMW, on different streets around our house and watch our movements. She convinced Mrs. Parker, our 70-year-old neighbor, that she was conducting a police investigation into financial fraud. Mrs. Parker started keeping a log of when we left the house and gave it to Angela. She got a job as a waitress at Denny's but showed up drunk most days. She would tell customers long stories about how her brother had been brainwashed by his wife. When families with kids came in, she would cry at their tables about how Mike's future children would never know their real aunt. The breaking point came after she lost the waitressing job. She showed up at our house at midnight, completely wasted. She was wearing her old bridesmaid dress from our wedding, now stained and torn. She kept screaming that she needed to save Mike from my black magic. Apparently she had been watching YouTube videos about witchcraft and convinced herself I had used spells to steal her brother. When we wouldn't answer the door, she tried breaking in through every window. She used her credit card on the back door like she had seen in movies. When that didn't work, she tried breaking a window with her high heel. That's when we called the police. They found 3 empty vodka bottles in her car and a notebook full of drawings of Tom's face. The police officer who arrested her was actually Tom's cousin Kevin. Angela didn't recognize him in her drunk state and started telling him everything. She confessed that she had been in love with Tom since she was 15. The year their parents died, she had tried to kiss Tom at Christmas dinner. Tom stopped her and said she was like a sister to him. Every boyfriend Angela had since high school was somehow connected to Tom. She dated his college roommate, his co-worker, and even his personal trainer. She kept hoping Tom would get jealous and realize he had feelings for her. When Tom started dating his now wife Rachel in college, Angela transferred to their university and joined the same sorority as Rachel to spy on them. She started dating James 6 months before Tom's wedding. She thought that becoming James's wife would keep her close to Tom forever. She spent $30,000 of her savings on a personal stylist, teeth whitening, and Botox, trying to look more like the type of women Tom dated. James took advantage of her desperation and kept promising to leave his wife. The police station called Mike at 3 a.m. to bail her out. Angela spent the night throwing up in the drunk tank and telling everyone who would listen about her love for Tom. She showed them the Tom shrine she had created on her phone, over 2,000 photos of him that she had collected from social media and family events. When Mike arrived at the station, she tried convincing him that Tom's wife was actually an imposter who had stolen her identity. She had created a whole conspiracy theory about how Rachel was working with me to keep her away from the 2 men she loved most, her brother and Tom. The station's social worker recommended a mental health evaluation, but Angela refused. She kept insisting that she was the only sane person in the family. Mike told her this was the last time he would help her. He had already spent over $50,000 that year dealing with her various crises, paying off her credit cards, covering her bounced rent checks, and handling her legal fees from the bar fights. Tom and his wife finally told us everything after Angela's arrest. Over the past 5 years, Angela had sent Rachel hundreds of threatening letters using different handwriting styles. She would order pizza deliveries to their house at 3 a.m. She once broke into their garage and filled Tom's car with hundreds of red roses. Rachel had been documenting everything but didn't want to upset Mike by reporting Angela. Update 3: Angela's arrest was finally the wake-up call she needed. Her new apartment kicked her out after the incident. She tried staying with different relatives but no one would take her in. Everyone had seen the videos of her trying to break into our house. She ended up renting a room in a shared house with 5 strangers. Aunt Linda visited her at the shared house and said the place was a mess. Angela had been sleeping on a mattress on the floor and living off ramen noodles. She lost her waitressing job at the diner because she kept showing up late. Her roommates complained about her crying all night and talking to herself. Last week, Aunt Linda forwarded us a long email from Angela. She wrote about how she had always depended on Mike after their parents died. She felt abandoned when he got married and started his own family. She admitted that she tried to destroy our marriage because she thought she would get her brother back. Angela also wrote about her obsession with Tom. She said watching Tom get married broke something inside her. Dating James was her way of staying in Tom's life. When that fell apart, she couldn't handle seeing everyone else happy and successful. The email ended with Angela saying she was moving to California to live with her college roommate. She found a job at a small accounting firm there. She asked us not to reply, she just wanted us to know she was sorry for everything. Mike read the email but didn't respond. Aunt Linda stays in touch with Angela's roommate in California. Apparently Angela has been sober for 2 months now. She goes to group therapy twice a week and shares an apartment with her roommate near the beach. She deleted all her social media accounts and changed her phone number. Mike says he might consider talking to Angela again in a few years, but right now we're focused on our baby boy who's due next month. Some family members think we're being too hard on Angela. They say she's trying to change and deserves another chance. But we've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean you have to let toxic people back into your life. We're happy with our decision to keep our distance, at least until Angela proves she's really changed. Tom and his wife are going to be our baby's godparents. Angela doesn't know this yet and probably never will. We finally found peace in our lives and we're not letting anyone disrupt that again.